Hello, welcome to a UTS Startups Confessions episode. Again, we talk to entrepreneurs that we respect a lot about who they were, what they did, what they got, and this is a really special episode. If you're streaming at home, you have to keep watching this, okay? Don't turn it off, don't scroll past, this is amazing. Can we get a little warm-up round of applause, please? Scott, this is going to make more sense in a second. Imagine someone comes to you and says, how old were you when you started?
23.
23. I'm a concrete engineer.
Civil engineer.
Civil engineer, and I want to make the world's thinnest portable display because I kind of need it for my studies. And then they come up with this, and they actually do it, and they do it across tens of thousands of people in an incredible way.
What did you think when we first came to UTS Startups and said that?
I thought you were wonderful. Because it takes a special person to have that much belief that you can do something this amazing. And sometimes it's hard to figure out if people can actually do that or not, but obviously you can because we're sitting here today and you've done it. So, if I can, who were you before Espresso Displays, Scott?
So it was my final year at university. I did civil engineering, but I was involved in a bunch of other random things. Like in the engineering, if anyone here studies engineering, you got to do a second, fourth year internship. So it means you're in the professional working environment pretty early on. So I had 3-4 years of industry experience before coming up to graduating. So I knew what that job was. I already had that job lined up, and it wasn't really the most exciting thing. So coming up to my final last year in university, I was kind of looking at what else is available in the university environment that I could try and get that kind of exposure to try and figure out what I wanted to do beyond university, as kind of kick off, career in the professional world. And one of those courses was the Sydney School of Entrepreneurship, just next door at Ultimo TAFE. And that was my final semester, and kind of got into that and that was the first, that was two very important things. One, it was kind of an entryway into entrepreneurship and innovation. As a student and pre-UTS startups, there weren't many ways to kind of learn about it and know about it. So that was really useful. The second useful thing is that's where I met my co-founder Will for Espresso Displays, and that's where we had the first idea when we were doing one of the assignments for that subject that we both used desktop monitors, and we found ourselves with a laptop needing a second screen, and that as a product didn't really exist, and it didn't exist in the way that we just wanted to buy one. And it was easy enough conceptually that we thought we could do it, but it was also, considering we were university students, it was difficult enough that it was interesting as a challenge to learn and work on. And then we just Will 3D printed one pretty much right away, a frame for a tablet. And then the momentum just started building. It just became something that we wanted to build, wanted to have ourselves as consumers.
Okay, so two people working in a kind of entrepreneurial context, thinking of different ideas to pursue. Think, okay, let's do a display, have prototyping skills within the team. So you think, okay, let's 3D print something and see how it works. How do you go, I get that, how do you go from that into actually making something that worked?
From that initial idea into launching the Kickstarter, which is turning the prototype into something that you give to the market, that was about 1.5 years. So it doesn't happen that quick. The first thing that we did was, we bought the next closest things from Alibaba. We pulled them apart to see what the components were. We joined UTS Startups to kind of have a place where we did this rather than at home and at university. So that was super useful. And then from there, a big event for us kind of pretty early on was just going over to China. It wasn't it was the most practical thing to do. It wasn't like we had a big to-do list of things that was there, but that kind of made the world of manufacturing, and consumer electronics and building a product made it real. And we met people over there who at co-working spaces and the same in the ecosystem there who were doing it. And it kind of just made, at least for this, which in Australia and in Sydney, there's not many startups making like everyday kind of consumer electronics. So that made, we still had that environment to see that it was real there. Super exciting, super fun. And then just, came back home, had prototyping connections, and Will would design the next frame, we'd buy more panels, glue them together, and then eventually we got to a prototype that we're like, hey, we think we can take this to Kickstarter, and we did a little demo day in building 15 or 608, and then launched on Kickstarter to the market.
Okay, nice and easy. Yeah. But I like that as a theme, like immersing yourself in an environment of entrepreneurs and then picking out the good parts of that, and then going to China, immersing yourself in more kind of entrepreneurs doing similar things, and then taking the good bits of that. Would you say that was how you learned how to do this going wide and then finding the good people and taking their advice more?
Yeah, there's definitely as in any entrepreneurial journey, there's a lot of kind of side quests that eventually go nowhere. That's inevitable, especially when you're doing something that you haven't done before. But that at least made it feel real, that we always had that self-belief to keep moving forward. Like say going to visit factories in China wasn't this big scary thing that we're detached from and hesitant to go and do. The opposite. We were doing that before we even needed to go over there, just to experience it, just to see it. And I guess that approach into whatever you need to do, has definitely helped us.
Okay. So how was the Kickstarter experience?
Yeah, it then shifted gears of, kind of making a prototype into now launch. And after working on something for a bit more than a year and having really a make or break moment was pretty stressful. But that was a bit of the shift was that now we signed up with a Kickstarter agency, because they had a whole package that you could get that, they would get a percentage of the campaign if it goes well. So we're they're sharing the risk with you. It also meant we didn't have to pay as much up front because we didn't have much budget to give up front. So we went through, and it was a good process. That first day is obviously what really matters, and then emailing friends, family, people in this community to get on it day one was super helpful. And that's if you are launching that launch community, having a launch party, really, even if you don't want to, getting friends and family to really get behind you at that earliest time, because that helps build that momentum and social proof that then the rest of, say, for Kickstarter, that community then, oh, hey, this campaign's now funded. Hey, people are commenting about it. People are posting on various Facebook groups about this and stuff. And that got our campaign up to, over 1,000 orders in that first month.
Jeez. How did that feel when you go from 3D printing to bubble gumming some things together to, okay, we have 1,000 orders now?
It was super exciting that that uncertainty was removed, but then it very quickly is replaced by now we have to deliver a high quality product to over 1,000 people. So it just kind of, you've got to celebrate every win as they come, but then there's always, the next challenge behind as well. So that's kind of part of the fun, I guess.
Yeah. Tell me about that fun. What was that like, trying to get that out to that many people?
Yeah, so the first thing was that Will and Fabs ended up going over to China during the last few days of the campaign. So the campaign wasn't even over yet, and they were both they needed to get started. The second thing was that we brought on another co-founder, Gary, who is a bit more experienced in working at ResMed, and he brought a lot more experience beyond what our technical capabilities were to deliver a high quality product. And that was essential. So that was difficult. So Will and Fabs were over there. And then obviously if we're talking November 2019 through to March 2020, being in China wasn't the nicest place to be. So that was very interesting. And then Will and Fabs had to kind of come back to Sydney, and we had to kind of do the remote manufacturing and development. And that, we had to do a lot of updates to our Kickstarter backers, saying that we're delayed. Everyone was very understanding, but it was definitely not an easy time, filled with a lot of uncertainty and whatnot. But you just wake up every day, do what you can, keep on moving things forward. And then it took us about a year to fulfill that, when we thought it was going to be about 4 months. So that's a big difference. But we still delivered. And the opposite side of that is the behavioural change of COVID. Everyone working from home, uni from home, and then now hybrid work has been a huge market force, where a lot of people have needed screens in more and more places, which is where our product solves a problem. Not just our initial market was people traveling and digital nomads and stuff, but now it's like everyone, because now people are working from home on kitchen tables and lounge rooms, and now hybrid-based work 3 days a week and all of that. So there's definitely challenges within supply chain. They still exist now, but there's also a lot of market opportunity that's been opened up because of this shift.
Yeah, there couldn't be a better time to launch something that helps people with hybrid work.
Exactly, yeah.
What other things kind of made this the right time to launch Espresso? What kind of technologies and other things?
A small but important one is USB-C. And what that did is it pretty much connected USB-A, which is the rectangular USB that we're all used to, with HDMI. So pretty much video, power, and touch connected in one simple cable. Now, that doesn't seem like much, but when you give someone a demo of, here's your laptop, here's our display, and one USB-C cable, and especially if they're not really tech savvy, or if you can't name all the ports on your laptop, which is most consumers, that ease of use just makes it more accessible, especially if you're not as much of a proven brand. People don't really know what a portable monitor is, to kind of show how easy it is, like your desktop monitor, one cable, this is how easy it is. That definitely has made reduced barriers for people wanting to try out our products.
Okay. And obviously the kind of fulfillment opportunities available now, the manufacturing available now are probably helpful.
Yeah, global distribution. So Kickstarter was good because it made us be global from day one, because we would have taken pre-sales from any corner of the world. And then now we're in four major markets, so US, UK, EU, and Australia. And having a global website, connecting that to a 3PL, like a warehouse, and then having that whole system kind of work worldwide is pretty not easy to manage, but straightforward to manage. So
cool. You didn't need your own manufacturing facilities, your own warehouses, your own whatever else.
Yeah, and then also contract manufacturing, which is less recent, but that's still you don't have to set up the whole manufacturing by yourself.
Okay. So do you think people got what you're working on back then? In talking to partners, investors, programs, do you think, because you don't see many hardware startups around Sydney in particular, but you're doing incredibly well, do you think people saw the opportunity?
People did. The consumer, the idea as a consumer was obvious, was evident from the start, which is even us as consumers, we wanted it, which was why we drove it forward, because it was a product that we wanted. It wasn't identify this hole in the market that's underserved. It was something that we thought was cool. And so that was always quite clear. There was definitely a lot of doubt around the manufacturing and the support network and growing, can you grow a business from Sydney in consumer electronics?
Yeah.
Niche companies, I think Rode microphones quite well, and Neuro headphones, but not really in mass market consumer electronics like this.
But Exhibit A, obviously you can. What did things look like after Kickstarter? And that was 2020 you finished fulfilling?
Yeah, so fulfill Kickstarter, then you set up a global e-commerce operation, which is warehouses in your markets. So you send your product from your manufacturer to the warehouse, and then you have a global e-com store that you get customers to buy from. And then you things like Facebook ads, Google, getting tech reviewers to like from journalists to YouTubers and whatnot to talk about the product. And then things like email marketing on your website. So all this like kind of pretty straightforward e-commerce marketing has been the big focus of the last like 12 to 18 months. And that's allowed us to grow quite substantially. But now what we're hearing from customers is, hey, I need this, like, say for my business, that now we have, people who are coming into the office 3 or 4 days a week, or they're trying to like kind of figure out what their medium-term kind of hybrid working strategy is, and their teams and employees are asking for solutions like this. And so we're able to kind of not just go, say, D2C with e-commerce, but now, selling directly to businesses, and that's it's a different sales cycle, and it's also kind of a different value prop, because now you're solving a problem for a whole business rather than like an individual with their own behaviors.
Yeah, and probably a whole lot of fun in terms of manufacturing giant piles of them relatively quickly. Good problem to have. Okay, so coming up to today, this has been incredible, but if you had to describe 4 years in Espresso today, what does it look like?
Well, we're now a team of 29, and we are growing in like all the markets that we're in, and we've got a really exciting kind of product roadmap that's going to, that we kind of can't build and launch fast enough. So yeah, huge growth aspirations. Learning more and more about our customers and how our product is in this kind of like changing environment for like what work and life is at the moment, which is super exciting. And there's many more categories that our product roadmaps can sit in. So like that's team growth, company growth, product growth. It's a very exciting time.
Okay, from that optimistic person maybe 4 or 5 years ago, starting something that sounded incredible at the time, to see it now and see it actually be incredible and in the hands of that many people is ridiculous. We've got a lot to be proud of, Scott and Will and everyone else behind the team. But how has being an entrepreneur changed you as a person?
Yeah, I think the is that you start this thing, and it's like just a cool thing to do, and it's exciting, and then you go through many ups and downs, and you got to enjoy the ups, and you got to know that the down's coming, and then when you're in the down, you just got to get through it and know that there's going to be the light at the end of that tunnel as well. And I guess you really like when you do like start a company and then it grows, like you're like all your strengths and weaknesses are really exposed all the time, and you're very aware of them, or you probably should be aware of them. And I think that's not just like kind of company growth, but also personal growth is very important for like, you're probably the bottleneck for a lot of growth in the company. So like your commitment to kind of overcoming that and growing is like I love it. Like even though it's not always the nicest thing to kind of like learn something about yourself, but it does mean that like it grows like you in other areas of life as well, like whether it's kind of like a fitness goal, or whether it's like approaching your own like kind of personal friends and family relationships and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm enjoying the journey more and more as time goes on, and that's how I know if I like what I'm doing.
Okay. Would you say it motivated you to develop as a person more than you would have as a civil engineer? Way more, and it's also given you opportunities to grow more than the opportunities you would have got down a different path. Yeah, because the path is yours now to choose. If you want to go hyper-growth, you can go hyper-growth, and you are. Yeah, for sure. That must be a wonderful feeling. Okay. Yeah. Actually, one more question. If you could look down the camera and give yourself some advice from 4 years ago, anything you'd tell yourself to avoid or to do? Don't try and focus on too much at a time. Just focus on what is that right next thing. So like, first thing for us was like that right next thing was like, build the prototype you can take to market. After that, it's then like, launch the product. After that, deliver the product. Like, I guess it's very easy right at the earliest stages when you're full of inspiration, full of ideas, and what you generally lack is like direction on what that right next thing is. And for me, I definitely
like many people, kind of fell into that trap, and then now it's just focus on what is that right next thing for you, like right now, just one thing at a time, but go through each of those as quickly as possible.
Beautiful. And I've got some advice for anyone watching from a large company's IT department. Do your employees a favor and look at Espresso displays, so search for Espresso displays. They are incredible. They are productivity boosting, incredible things. We have them all around UTS as well on the podium at UTS Startups at Central. There's one hidden away behind there that's a wonderful touchscreen as well. They're wonderful devices worth checking out. Now,
we've got, on that point, we've just commenced a B2B evaluation program. So we are speaking to a lot of businesses right now who are kind of looking to implement this and already are implementing this to their company. But we've now expanded that with our own program that you can apply to on our website. If you go to our website, there's a for business page. You fill in that form there, and then someone from sales will be in touch.
Beautiful. It's kind of cool in startup communities to see what devices people use. Because I find that's a nice kind of indicator of the things that are coming up, and these are everywhere, not just at UTS, but other startup hubs that I've seen as well. So people are onto it, and lots more people will be. I'm going to end there because we're going to go to Q&A. I can see some people in the audience that I know will have questions about launching this kind of startup. If you're watching and want to get into the juicy Q&A part, join us every Friday at 3:30 in UTS Startups at Central. But that's been incredible, Scott. Please join me in thanking Scott from Espresso Displays.
Thank you.